What's up, guys? I want to talk today a little bit about my journey through the epic fantasy genre of literature. I'm a little bit new to it, and I have a plan set out before me for my future reading, and I'm looking for a little bit of feedback on it. So let me know, guys, what you think about what I think down in the comments below. I haven't read a ton of epic fantasy. However, I did read the entire 8-book epic, The Dark Tower by Stephen King, and I had such a good experience with that I want to continue on reading some more fantasy. There's something about a series that takes place over several or more lengthy books, thousands of pages, that is a unique reading experience, and you fantasy readers know just what I'm talking about. Some years ago, I read the first book in the Wheel of Time series, The Eye of the World. And in that book, there's a scene where some dark riders are riding on horseback. Some evil characters are pursuing our protagonists in the woods. There's a path in the woods, and these dark hooded riders are riding along. And when I read The Fellowship of the Ring, I realized that that scene in The Eye of the World with the Dark Riders was borrowed directly from The Lord of the Rings. Now, I found this quite intriguing, and it got me to wondering what kind of influence earlier fantasy series have had on later ones. Because I don't have a lot of experience with fantasy outside of the Dark Tower series, which, by the way, was highly influenced by The Lord of the Rings, even the title, The Dark Tower, is directly borrowed from The Lord of the Rings and the Dark Lord Sauron. Because of this fact, I've decided that I'm not just going to randomly start reading fantasy series that sound good to me. I want to go back to the beginning, back to those early stories, so that I can see the evolution of the genre play out before my very eyes. I started this journey late last year. I read The Fellowship of the Ring at the end of the year, and I just finished The Two Towers. I'm almost there now with The Lord of the Rings, and I can already see a lot of influences from that story, The Lord of the Rings, that have come into play with other popular stories. I didn't even know that Tolkien wrote like 12 books chronicling the history of Middle-earth. I was looking something up on Gandalf while I was reading The Two Towers, and I found out about all this. I'm totally psyched to read them all, and the fact that this is a bigger story than I originally realized is a real treasure. Now, The Lord of the Rings aside, I'm also going to read the Chronicles of Narnia, starting with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I find it quite intriguing that C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were good friends that were both writing at the same time, and their stories, The Chronicles of Narnia and The Lord of the Rings, are absolutely, undisputably, two of the greatest fantasy stories of all time. I will also be reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Peter Pan, The Wizard of Oz, Beowulf, Gulliver's Travels, and the Arabian Nights story collection. I will also be reading the Odyssey, the Iliad, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and basically any other early fairy tales and fantasy stories as I can get my hands on. Now, this epic fantasy reading project of mine was in part inspired by my read of the first 2 Stormlight Archives novels by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is basically the pinnacle of fantasy writing. I think he's really good, and I like what he and other modern authors have done for the fantasy genre, and I want to go back to the beginning to see how all this started. Now, this thing has me excited, friends. I'm absolutely sure that I will enjoy the books that I've mentioned here today, and I think that as I go, as I continue to discover more about the fantasy genre of literature, it's gonna go in ways that I haven't even yet anticipated. I'm convinced that I'll have a better appreciation for something like the Stormlight Archive, or the Dark Tower series, or the Wheel of Time, or the Sword of Truth, or the Malazan Book of the Fallen, once I see how these ideas have developed over the years and decades and centuries and millennia. There are a lot of good books out there, you know. By the way, guys, let me know down in the comments what you think about my fantasy adventure, and let me know if you have any ideas on some books that would fit in with the scheme of things. I look forward to chronicling everything right here on the channel, and I look forward to feedback from you guys. That's it. Drop a comment, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time.